The Apprentice Builder was a novel idea that sparked a lot of interest in Clash of Clans until players saw how many gems it really cost to upgrade. When I first saw this feature, I started thinking about how effective would it be to even upgrade the Apprentice Builder, whether or not it would be worth it in the first place, as well as how long it would take me to actually get a good return on investment. To begin analyzing this data, I first took a look at the way the Apprentice Builder scaled as it upgraded. However, this is where we see one of the biggest problems. Every time you upgrade the Apprentice Builder, you get 1 hour of extra boost, but it also costs more and more gems to upgrade each time, meaning that you're paying more for the same amount of benefit. Now, this isn't a completely new concept. I mean, after all of the builders do the same thing, but the last few are really expensive. The difference is that builders can work all the time, while the Apprentice Builder only works once a day. Thus, the first issue is that the Apprentice Builder will actually give you the best return on investment the less you spend on it, which is a pretty whack mechanism. But I didn't want to throw the Apprentice Builder out of the window just yet, so I took a look at how it compares to just gemming upgrades. Although this is one of the worst ways to spend your gems, I thought it could be a good way to measure at base just how good the Apprentice Builder is. During my research, I discovered that the amount of gems that you need to spend to automatically complete an upgrade actually depends on the amount of time that you have left on that upgrade. The more time you have left, the better the gem ratio you get per hour. At an upgrade time of 16 days, you spend about 5.5 gems per hour if you were to complete the upgrade immediately with gems. This means that with 500 gems, you could gem 3.8 days worth of upgrades, considering you get the best possible value. And to make up 3.8 days, the Apprentice Builder would actually have to be activated 92 days in a row for you to start profiting. And to be honest, it doesn't really get much better than this because of what I mentioned before. So this is the chart for the amount of days that it takes for the Apprentice Builder to break even with the cost of gemming buildings in their entirety. At the highest level, it would take 149 days, or approximately 5 months, for you to finally break even and then begin profiting from your investment. So far, not too great of a start for the Apprentice Builder, but then I started thinking gemming buildings isn't what a lot of players are doing. They're either going to be spending their gems on ores or books of heroes in the shop. Now, it's always really difficult to come up with a standard number for ores. For this video's purposes, I just looked at the daily loot bonuses for the average player and then a player in Titan 1, and we didn't even count wars because that would just mess up everything completely. According to this chart on ClashSpot, the average user is probably around Crystal League. So we took Crystal 2 as our set point for the average player, where you get 20 glowy ores per day. With the deal we have in the shop for glowy ores, you can buy 200 glowy ores with 500 gems. A player in Crystal League 2 would thus save 10 days of farming glowy ores by using gems to buy them instead. Thus, the Apprentice Builder has to make up 10 days of time. This chart in the background says it all. To make up for the first 2 levels, the Apprentice Builder would have to be activated every day for 240 days. This continues on to the last day, where we see this become 390 days to make up level 8. That's way too long for average players. In fact, most players might even give up playing at that point. However, what about players who are in Titan 1? In Titan 1, you get 50 glowy ores per day, so the break-even point is less than half the amount of time in Crystal 2. As you guys can see, in the lowest levels, it takes 96 days, and at the highest level, it takes 156 days to break even. So in Titan 1, it is a lot better. However, it's still 5 months or so until the max level can profit. Now, with all of that being said, there's still one more thing to analyze before our final conclusion. And if the Unlimited Heroes event isn't a reminder enough about this, we have to see how the Apprentice Builder matches up against books of heroes. Now, each book of hero can get you a max of 8 days, so for every 500 gems invested, the Apprentice Builder would have to make up 8 days. The calculations show this final chart here, which shows the Book of Heroes break-even points all the way on the right. At the lower levels, it takes 192 days to break even, and at the higher levels, it takes 312. Now some of you at this point might be saying, hey, I'm not even max level, so I can't even get the max efficiency out of the Book of Heroes, so why should I even care about this comparison at all? Even though that might be true, you can always hold the gems and spend them later when you have good value, and there are plenty of hero upgrades that get really good value out of the Book of Heroes in the end game. The opposite can be said about the Apprentice Builder though. The moment that you buy it, you're probably going to be thinking, oh, was this worth it? You know, when do I break even and how long will it take to break even? So with all of that being said, it's pretty obvious that the Apprentice Builder is a waste of time and that you shouldn't spend any gems on it, right? Well, not exactly. Here's the cold, hard truth. Given enough time, the Apprentice Builder pays itself off and offers more value than anything else you can buy with the same amount of gems. For example, if it takes 100 days for the Apprentice Builder to break even, it also takes another 100 days for it to double the value that you got originally and then more after that. To be real with you, the permanent nature of the Apprentice Builder makes it a better investment no matter how you look at it. However, the biggest issue for the Apprentice Builder isn't only the investment or the cost, but also the practicality of the thing. For example, it takes 312 days for the max Apprentice Builder to break even with the Book of Heroes. Right now, if any player can guarantee that they've played for the last 312 days, I want you to comment right now. Most of you are probably not commenting. The Apprentice Builder requires one activation per day for almost an entire year for it to finally start paying off at the max level. For some of you, that's actually easy money and you play on 20 accounts anyways. For others, it's something you'll probably never achieve. And this brings me to the main point of the Apprentice Builder. It's actually not a bad deal inherently. However, it is a bad deal for players who cannot guarantee that they'll be playing for many months. Therefore, my advice is this: look at this chart and take a really good look. If you're thinking of investing into the Apprentice Builder and you know that you'll be playing for a few months every day to max your account as fast as possible, then I would recommend investing into it. The first two levels takes 192 days to break even, and then you're profiting every day after that. If you want to get even more upgrades after that, of course you can. However, the same concept applies. You need to be on every day for longer and longer periods of time to be able to break even. And if you're not sure, don't get it. Seriously, save yourself 200 days of work, buy things later. The value difference is actually minimal. My biggest criticism of the Apprentice Builder is the fact that it costs so many gems, and the players that need it the most are the lower level players with tons of upgrades, and those players will surely not get it until the mid game. To make the Apprentice Builder worth it for every player, I think two things need to happen. The first thing is that obviously the cost has to be decreased so the break-even times are brought shorter, and the second thing is that there has to be an option for you to auto set the Apprentice Builder so that you don't need to log on every day for 200 to 300 days. Overall, the Apprentice Builder is actually a really great idea that could use a little bit of work on its execution so that it can apply to most players. However, one thing that did apply to most players is the recent time reductions that we got in the June update. And if you want to know how to make the most out of those time reductions for absolutely free, by the way, then you should go ahead and check out this video right here where I go ahead and break down how you can maximize those time reductions.